Time for the 404 audio show with your hosts MetaPattern and Thesis.
Every man do his thing a little way different. Every man do his thing a little way different. The things I do it in a different way from you. A different way from you.
Welcome to the next episode of the 404 Audio Show. We are your host, once again, Thesis MetaPattern, and we're going to be taking care of you again for the next hour as we showcase Atlanta drum and bass music and discussion.
That's right. Welcome back, everyone. Mickey and Wiki here. As usual, we got some more Atlanta drum and bass items to discuss, some beers to taste, and plenty of tunes to blast. This week I went out and I found 9 local Georgia beers, and Bill is going to be blindly picking which ones we try.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like so much fun because we love beer.
It is going to be a game show up in here.
We do have a little game show, and we do like to feature local Georgia breweries, and that's what we'll be doing once again. Tell you about some of the upcoming shows. To get ready for the podcast and to figure out what the upcoming shows were, all I had to do was point my browser to 404audio.com, and I was able to get the information that in April, coming up next month, we have a special drum and bass set from Ployd that's going to be at Contrast ATL. It's at the Edgewood Speakeasy. I think it's 21 and up, and I believe Maker, a couple other people are playing. The whole idea of Sam's Contrast show is that you take somebody who's known for one style of music and you get them to play something they may not be known for currently. Ployd certainly has been known for drum and bass before, but obviously over the many years in recent memory, he is more known for bass music. So this is definitely going to be a treat. Following the very next day is our next edition of Torch. That is on April 13th, and that will feature the Titans of Bass Crew taking over at Torch. So big ups to all the Titans of Bass Crew.
And before that, even though we don't know for sure if there's going to be drum and bass, but I mean for 404 Audio Podcasts, you have to mention 404 Day.
404 Day is coming up, of course, on April 4th. That is sponsored by Ricky Raw. It is one of his 2 big club kind of festival events that he does through the year. 404 Audio Day, or 404 Day, sorry. .com. You can check out all the stuff he does. Multi-genre, going to be all sorts of different artists. He does different clubs. He does something different every year, and he's been doing it for a while. So if you're in the Atlanta area, in the 404 Audio area code, you should go check out 404 Day coming up on April 4th, 2019.
Sweet love, all I need is to drop and you next to me, forever and ever.
Here's the deal for the game. I was going to say you pick a number between 1 and 9, and that's going to choose which beer we have, but I'm actually going to have you pick number 171 through 180, because those are the drum and bass BPM values, so that's what you get to pick. So I don't know if you're feeling more like a 176-ish kind of night, or if it's a 172, but we got the full range of drum and bass speeds over here, and you get to pick.
My favorite to pick, and what my favorite is usually to start with, is 176 or 88. So
I like 176.
So I'm going with 176 for my first.
All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You picked ATL.
If Logam was here, we could talk about his tune that he did that was ATL.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's got a sample. I might actually be the sample. It might be my voice.
Oh, okay.
Because we've done a couple of sessions where I've gone over there and recorded some rhymes, and it hasn't really manifest into too much, but I think he did get that sample, and it's like ATL ale. So that's how this would be, right? Because it's AT and then the word ale.
Yep.
And this is from
Second Self, right here in Atlanta. Second Self Beer Company.
I think that was the first brewery that I ever went to. Shout out to Johnny Goodtime and Amanda for taking me to my first brewery many years ago, and I believe it was Second Self. All right, let's
crash this beer that is local, crisp, clean, refreshing, and crushable. Crushable is good because we got to get to the next one here.
What type of beer is it? Is it an ale? Is that what we're going with?
Yeah,
does it say?
Atlanta ale.
I'll tell you who will be able to tell me. Is my good old friend Untapped. And if you're interested in following us on the Untapped app, you can follow me as Thesis72. Just do a search, and you can follow MetaPattern at
Haze Beer.
There it is.
HAZEBEER.
Crushable. I see that description on a lot of beer. I don't know if that means the can's crushable.
Well, I'm sure the can is crushable. It feels pretty crushable.
Or that you can drink this really fast if that's what you want. Second Self.
It smells great. It's got a really light, nice gold color to it.
199 beers they have on here, so I'll just do AT and ATL. Pale Ale. An American Pale Ale with 42 IBUs. MetaPattern, are you aware of the IBU count? Have we discussed that?
Aware, yes. Any more than that, not really.
I believe the higher the IBU count is on a particular beer is the higher amount of hoppiness it has.
Yeah, bitterness.
Bitterness, or I guess hoppiness and bitterness.
I bet there's a beer out there that has a ton of hops but manages not to be extremely bitter.
That is crisp. That is the very first thing that I think about this beer. And I wasn't really sure what to think, but it's very crisp. I would say that's kind of like a summertime sort of vibe.
Yeah.
Summertime in ATL.
It's got good foam too.
Summertime in ATL makes me think of going to Six Flags. I think that's pretty much something you always do as a kid, and then either you do as a teenager. I mean, it's just kind of a Georgia summer sort of thing, is to head to Six Flags. Haven't been there in a long time. Would love to take the family. Maybe we can organize a 404 Audio Six Flags Day.
Hey, let us know.
That'd be a little crazy and chaotic. And by that, I mean crazy and chaotic. This one is fantastic. I would recommend this for the summer. This is ATL. It is from the Second Self Brewery. What were your thoughts?
Definitely clear, crisp, clean, pretty refreshing, and I would say we're crushing it. So
I would say we're
definitely crushable.
I'm gonna go with crisp as the top beer descriptor on that one. Big shout out to Second Self, which I apologize to you guys if you're listening out there from the brewery. I normally call you Second Shelf.
Me too.
I'm very sorry about that, but I get that it's not that now.
Okay. Well, all right, done with beer one, and we're going to get right back into things here, so stay tuned, and you are listening to the 404 Audio Podcast.
Your brain cell touch no in a vegetable. And just like weed, it make you floatable. Bass loosen you up and make you get flexible.
Alright, we are back. Thanks again for tuning in to the second edition of the 404 Audio Show.
Secretly the third, but yeah.
Secretly the third, because we did do a 0 episode. And I'll tell you who was mad about that. Every single one of the podcast publishing things. They were like, 0? That can't have a value. It has to have 0.
I can't believe I guess people probably tried, but whatever.
Yeah, they didn't want our 0 episode. But we're on episode 2.
I think at this point we have SoundCloud, Facebook, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify,
Google Podcast. So we need Tuned In and we need Stitcher. So we'll work on getting those.
Okay.
And I think this time around we're going to do the audio release will be out, and then I think a few days later we're going to do the video version, which MetaPattern did a really cool, as you probably saw last time on Facebook and on YouTube, really cool kind of video meme talking about some of these different things, like
slideshow of all the history. Who knows?
We'll definitely have a railroad sign in there for the railroad part.
Just a fun way to add to the podcast.
We'll do the map of where Bill thinks Athens, Georgia is. It's not up. It's not up, y'all. It's over. We're going to get into some show talk. We like to do our podcast after some of the local shows for the month. And that's kind of how we've fallen these first few 404 audio shows. Most recently, here in the month of March, we had Torch, that was on the 8th. And then a week later, we had Elevate on the 15th. We're going to talk a little bit about those. For Torch, on the 8th, we had Variant playing a drum and bass set, kind of on that contrast ATL vibe. Same deal, he's like Ployd, who is known, he used to play drum and bass, now he's playing, deep dubstep and a lot of other stuff. And then we got him to come to do a DNB set, which was awesome. And he played a bunch of older tunes as he had broadcast and did a great job of it. Just
a lot
smashing
of older classics, like back to back.
Smashing older stuff. We also had Dan Brown play as his moniker, which is Clerks. Same deal. He's also involved in the bass music scene here in Atlanta. Has played drum and bass before. We were glad to have him come and play. I think he played that crazy Bad Company song that came out last year with Kill the Noise. What is the name of it?
Totally blanking, even though I played it at Imagine.
You guys know which ones we're talking about. The one on it's Crazy KZ, absolutely insane track. Big up to Dan for playing that. Rounding out, we had making his Torch debut and I think his DJ debut, Alex V, who did a great job. Big ups to him for coming out and playing. We also had Nefarious, and Nefarious can rhyme, he can mix, he can slam down tunes, and one of my favorite sets from him in recent memory was at an Elevate a few years ago, where we were just all watching him go to town. And that's really exactly how the same situation was here at Torch.
Yes, man.
And then who else do we have?
Two random dudes closed out the night.
Mickey and Wiki.
That's right. Yeah, Mickey and Wiki. Those
Mickey
guys.
and Wiki. So for my part, and that being being the one like Wiki, Torch for me was the tale of going to two different shows. I drank a fair amount at Torch, and I have some points about that. When I went to Elevate, I didn't drink at all, and I have some points about that. What I noticed, and what's frustrating, is it's fun to go to the show and drink, but I have these other responsibilities.
Yeah, you're also kind of running the show, so
that
don't get too crazy.
But even I've just noticed that as being social, like I feel like I'm more social drunk, but I'm not really. I think I am, but I'm really not.
It's like the same amount. Yeah, I would say that because you're pretty much the same either way, but I bet I could see how it feels like you're being...
Feels like I'm talking to everybody, but I think I'm just like kind of, what's that to everybody, and not having a lot of meaningful conversations.
I don't know, I think they're meaningful.
They're definitely fun. So did that, and... we got home, of course, safe. Chuck got us home, and everything was fine. Show overall was fun. There was some rain a little bit. It's kind of how it seems to go for us at Torch.
Kind of normal for Torch these days.
We're pretty tired of the rain for sure. Hoping for some nice weather going forward. But definitely fun to have those guys who don't normally come out and play drum and bass out there. And then the next week we had Elevate, and MetaPattern is going to tell us a little bit about the setup for the March edition of Elevate.
Yep, March edition was back at Believe Music Hall in the basement again, aka Wish Lounge, and that was with LSB and DRS. We also had Calf and Clutch opening up, followed by a birthday set by Johnny Goodtime and MC Armani Rain. And then we had a closing set by Tim C and Skylink.
That was a banging night. There was great crowd, great sound.
Great crowd, and especially great sound. Like we said, the sound from the last show was pretty good. This was even better. I mean, it was loud, clear. The MC sounded great.
Yeah, that was all tuned up.
And the tunes were just insane.
It absolutely was. Everything was tuned up. Big up to Elevate folks once again, to Amanda and to Johnny Goodtime for another great edition of their show. I'm not sure when their next show is. It hasn't been announced yet, but we know they're always cooking something up.
That's right.
Just a wonderful time at the show, at both shows. We're lucky here in Atlanta. We've got great shows to go to.
Yeah.
And it's just fun to get out and get to hear this music that is meant to be played very loud. That's what drum and bass is. If you listen to it on earbuds, it's fine.
It's fine. It's all
However, It's actually meant to be experienced. And I guess in terms of really all music, you know, people, bands and everybody else do concerts, and it is really loud.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a quality that's shared by all music. However, like this particular music is best served to you.
Yes.
Super loud club.
Drum and bass, I feel, is like in a slightly extra level about it, just because of how well it's produced and how it can be specifically made for you to feel stuff.
So we're going to move right on, but that was the recap of the shows. That was the last Torch show in March, as well as the last Elevate there. Next show for Torch is going to be in April. Elevate is to be announced what they've got cooking up, and we all look forward to seeing what the next move is there.
And in the meantime, we'll be holding you down each month. Third, fourth Monday? Last Monday of the month?
Last Monday of the month, we're going to bring you a new podcast from the 404 Audio crew, which is Mickey and Wiki, Thesis MetaPattern Thesis.
I've come home, I'm high rate. Too much money made my eyes shake.
Septic syringes. No steps too close, you get infected. My vocab's dirty like septic syringes. No steps too close, you get infected. My vocab's dirty like septic syringes. Estate stairways and 4-day ranges. It gets too much, doors fly off hinges.
Alright, let's move on to beer number 2. We're going to do a little random selection here.
Alright.
And get on to it.
You want to pick a number again?
Alright, so for my choices, I'm going to take 180 because I also would do 180 when I'm setting the
180.
BPMs.
A really fast speed there. We got Hobnail IPA. What a big surprise, another IPA. This is Southern Brewing Company down in Athens. And let's see, we got any other descriptions? Drink Southern beer, by the way. I think we can definitely say we're doing that. And this is an India Pale Ale, handcrafted in small batches. East Coast meets West Coast. Southern pine, citrus, touch of mint. It's dry hopped. Cascade hops, Montoica hops. I don't know what that is. So
I don't know what that is either.
It's going to be tangerine citrus finish. And it says it's year-round, pretty balanced.
Sounds like all the things that we like in an India Pale Ale. Now, you said over. Did you say over in Athens or down in Athens? In my mind, I always say up in Athens because I think I'm going to draw. You guys can't see this unless it's the video version, which it still won't have this. But
hey,
we could put the map on there. This is what I think. MetaPattern's going to make the map the wrong way that I do. I'm going to circle Atlanta. So here's Atlanta. I think you drive straight up. And then you get to Athens, and Athens is above Atlanta.
You take 400 north.
Yeah.
And Athens is on the way to Dahlonega.
I think it's just north. That is incorrect, actually. Athens, I believe,
okay, it is sideways.
East.
It is sideways. Now, the reason I said down is because I used to live in Snellville. And when you're in Snellville, it is a little bit more down. It's still east, but...
So in Snellville, now there's a way to get to Athens where you can take 78 the whole way.
Yeah, 78.
That's crazy. How long does that take, like from Snellville?
From Snellville, it's not even an hour.
Not even an hour.
I mean, maybe on like traffic days or something.
The way that I've always gone to Athens is I go 8 to 16.
And I just got beer all over the monitor. This beer was too excited to get out.
It sounds like it was too crumb. I do like to pour a lot of foam because that is the best way to pour a beer, according to that video I saw that one time.
Yeah, no.
All right, so here we go to the taste, huh?
All right, cheers, man. Still a lot of foam here, but earthy. A little earthier compared to that first one, which is much lighter. I don't even know if earthy's the right term, but
it tastes like a session IPA, like it's not very heavy. What is the content?
The ABV.
I cannot find it on here.
Oh, there it is down. Nope, never mind. It's got to be on there somewhere. Alright, I'm checking this beer in on the Untapped app right now. Don't forget to follow us. Still have no followers from the podcast specifically yet, but we will say the first 100 followers for us will get free entry to the next Torch show.
So there it is, Southern Brewing Hopnail IPA from Athens, GA. Stick with us as we move on to the next segment of the 404 Audio Show. I am your host, Thesis, and this is your host,
MetaPattern.
Inside the Ride.
The 404 Audio Show with your hosts MetaPattern and Thesis.
So it's time for Thesis's track of the month, and the track that I've selected is by Tantrum Desire. It's called Unleashed.
It's a big one.
And it is released on Technique Recordings, which is owned and operated by Simon Bassline Smith and Drum Sound. They've been around for quite a long time as producers, and the label has also been around for quite some time. They've got a number of great artists in their stable, and Tantrum Desire is definitely one of those. This tune is it's just a monster. There's just no other way to describe it. I put it in my anthem folder because it is an anthem. You can light the place up.
Dark anthem, thing. Yeah, it is a thing.
Kind of reminds me a little bit of, there's an older tune by Danny C called Stalker, and it has that kind of like bam, 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 that sort of, drum and bass sound that I just made. So anyways, here it is, Tantrum Desire. This is Unleashed on Technique Recordings. Check it out on 404 Audio.
Might as well put on some music.
Alright, coming up next, it's the MetaPattern tune of the podcast, and this time we are going to be listening to an awesome tune called Retro Driver. This is by Dorian and Skore off of the Mainframe label, Mainframe 104. They're out of Vienna, Austria. Looks like they have a pretty cool monthly show going on here. Big ups to them, and get ready for this, because this takes me back to the 80s, I guess? I don't know.
Definitely take us back to the 80s with MetaPattern's tune of the podcast. Here it is.
Audio Show with your hosts MetaPattern and Thesis.
So for this episode of the 404 Audio Podcast, thought we'd do a little gear talk. We're going to go over some of the gear that we like. We're up for some feedback from you guys in the comments. The more interaction we have, the more we can talk about on the next podcast. Big ups to everybody who's been checking us out so far. First off, we'd love to throw some shouts to everyone checking us out. We're up here doing it for fun, for Atlanta, to have some cool content to talk about. Gear-wise, I love it all. DJ-wise, I like CDJs, I like turntables, I like Serato. I've never used Tractor. Talking about some of the differences is one of the things that we'll cover. I guess we can just kind of start by saying our preferences. MetaPattern, when you are walking up to the DJ booth, what would be perfect for you to see up there?
Perfect would just be any sort of linked USB CDJs that support USBs. That I can just bring one flash drive up. I have a backup one, of course, but anything where it's just simple to have 3 or 4 decks.
How many? You want 3 or 4 up there?
3 is fine.
So when you're using 3, what is your plan? Are you doing 3 tracks at a time? Are you queuing a lot faster? What's the path?
It definitely lets me queue faster. That way, if there is a song or 2 songs mixing where I do want that mix to play out more, it lets me queue up the 3rd track. That way, maybe for a few seconds, there's 3 tracks playing. Or even if I want to fade out 1 track right as I start a new one, because it takes a couple seconds of downtime to get a new track loaded on a deck, having a 3rd deck where it's already loaded and ready to go. That way, in case there is any amount of overlap, you're ready.
How long have you been applying this? How long have you been mixing on 3 decks? Or is it just if it's there, I'm going to do it? Is it just is it a plan you want? I really want that?
Yeah. Most recent sets have all just... It really just comes down to when you are trying to hit that 30 track in 1 hour mark.
Right.
You pretty much need to have 3 decks. That way, like I was saying, you can start the next track as soon as possible if you are trying to cram them in there like that.
So by contrast, I've tried using 3 decks before, and I just end up getting confused. I mean,
it's definitely possible if you don't keep track.
I think because it's there, I get myself into a place where I'm confused. And start to lose the plot of what I have going on. I try to pride myself on being able to do, because nowadays it's 2019. We're in March of 2019, and we got a 3rd deck for Torch. I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months ago, and every month, and we bring it just standard now. Mm-hmm. And every month we have multiple people making use of that 3rd deck. So it's either that they've wanted it the whole time, or B, it's come up more in the culture that people are playing on 3 decks, which that could be very possible. Or it could be that we just have it and they're like, yeah, well, it's here, I'm going to use it. So for me, definitely tagging. My favorite thing to be, if me and you were tagging, it was
tagging
USB.
3 decks helps a ton.
Well, really, I'd want 4.
Yeah.
Which is kind of selfish in a way, but that way, you could have 2 and I could have 2. And then we have the 3rd one, but you can just kind of keep your stuff set. And
right.
So when I go it's easy enough to switch over, but for me, it's 2 decks. That's what I like. I have played on 3 before. I have mixed 3 where I've got, I don't think I got this recorded, but I was over at the Elevate HQ. This was a while back, and Johnny Goodtime has 3 decks over there. I was playing on those and doing Raga and just trying to go. I literally looked at the opportunity and I was like, all right, I don't normally get in front of this, so what is the most Raga that I can play on 3 decks? It's just going to be chaos. There's so many vocals. This is going to go poorly.
Yeah.
But it ended up going for 30 to 35 minutes really good, and I wish I recorded it. I don't think I have it, which is why I record everything. No matter what. I will just walk up to a show. Not even my show. I don't even know the people there. But if I can find some way to plug in, and with the new Pioneer thing, shout out to Pioneer. They have a new way to record off a mixer if you're using Gearwise, one of the new top-end mixer. Let's take a minute to talk about that. The DJM 900 Nexus 2. One of the biggest new features they have is this top-end USB. I guess it's USB-A port, which is your standard port that would go into a computer.
Yep.
On the top. And you can plug in your iPhone to that with a lightning cord and use the DJM recording app. So you can literally, if you're on USBs playing at a club and you want to record your set and they have that mixer there, all you need is your iPhone and your cord and this app.
The app, yeah.
And then you're recording your set, you're playing off USBs. You literally are showing up to the club at the very minimum to record your set and kill it.
Yep.
One USB if everything's linked, one phone cord, and one iPhone. I don't know if it's on, I've heard it's not on Android yet. I don't understand why it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
There's debates about that. I've actually read some of them, which, whatever. I mean, it should be on any platform. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
But in any case, that's a new
Can
cool
you
way.
also play tracks from your phone through the mixer to the 4 decks?
There is like some sort of send return situation for that. And there is a switch that says 1/4 inch and then the other one is USB. So I assume that you could play tracks on it.
Yeah.
But I feel like it would be more of like when we're at Torch and we're still setting up, the guys who are doing the sound will just play something off an iPhone or a phone or whatever, but they're using an RCA to Stereo Mini. I was gonna say headphone jack.
Yeah. Headphone
or
jack.
3.5
millimeter. There's 1/8 inch.
Eighth inch would also do. 1/4 inch would be the bigger one. So gear wise, so the perfect setup for you, 3 decks, all linked together. Are you particular any type? Do you like the big LED sort of thing that you've got on a or LCD or whatever on the 2000s? Does it matter?
Generally, the better the model, I do enjoy it more. I mean, it is cool seeing some waveforms and stuff. As long as I just need like the really crappy, like low LED count waveform readout, I'm good.
Okay. Well, so then do you use the waveforms? If they're available, do you ever use them at any point? Do you see like I've got a mix and I see maybe I'm lining up the snare because I have that available, or is it just out of your mind all the time?
It's out of my mind because with the CDJs, like unless you're looking at stacked waveforms, you can't really see if the snares are actually lined up very well because you have to turn your head looking over here and then looking over here. So visually that doesn't really help for me as much as headphones just in my ear do.
Are there people out there who are putting it to, who make the thing in their brain? They make the Serato wave.
Maybe they
have it memorized.
Cross their eyes and see both waveforms lining up.
Now, on the what is the thing that Pioneer does that that they have to combat that? It's the tour situation. The tour gear.
The CDJ Tour 1.
Now, if you have all of those, which unfortunately I've never encountered, and I would love to.
Yeah, the mixer's readout can do stacked waveforms, and then if you have the actual CDJ tours, those have like big song lists, so you can, and it's a touch screen, so you can touch what songs you want to load. And I think it shows the waveform for that deck. But to see another deck's waveform, you have to look at the mixer's screen. So you have to have I think it's a DJM Tour 1.
So I think you're exactly right. So knowing that, if you had a pair of regular CDJs that have the waveform display and the Tour mixer, then you would get the same thing that you can get, which is, to my point, one of my favorite things. Mm-hmm. You would have the same thing you'd have in Serato, which is the waveform, the parallel waveform.
Right.
Which you are. And as a person who's played Serato for a long time, I got the SL1 originally, bought it off a friend, I think Doughboy, then I got the SL4 next, I think I bought that off a friend, Doughboy, and then eventually, well, that's what I have now. Oh, and I got the new mixer we use today. Side note, every time we want to get jazzed up for a podcast, me and Mickey and Wiki, aka Thesis and MetaPattern, backwards reverses, don't really know. We like to do a mix and jam out, and that's what we did today. Got some killer tunes in there, I have to say.
And so that gives us plenty of content for the background while we discuss stuff. Not that we even need it, because we still have Torch recordings, we still have Friends recordings.
Just another sip of that was so awful.
Yeah, we have one tasting here that we're not going to reveal whose it is.
Nah.
But
we're just kidding, it's Bud Light. It's okay, we can slam Anheuser-Busch, they're not going to come after us.
Yeah, I don't mind, because I also love Bud Light and I hate it at the same time.
Yeah, I would
great
love and hate it. Right now I'm currently hating it. Side note about Anheuser-Busch, they produce about 2/3 of the world's beer, and if you want to know what sort of astounding number that is, check the link, because we'll probably put it in the podcast or the video version.
Nice. So, waveforms. The other type of waveform that the CDJs show is not just like, beat by beat, but the overall
track
song
progression.
So you can just see where the loud areas are and where the quiet areas are and where the loud areas are. I use that religiously for lining up tracks, because you can see things on more of a phrasing level rather than beat alignment level. So if you have your headphones, you can take care of the beat alignments, and then you use the progression to look at the phrasings to see if quiet parts are going to line up right or whatever. And so it's not foolproof, but...
It's not foolproof, but it definitely is very close. And there's 3 different levels of that as the CDJs have progressed. So you've got the 350s and the 900s, the originals. We were mixing on those earlier.
Yep.
You've got, you have a waveform progression. It's like a white colored background.
Yeah.
It absolutely can be used for the exact purpose of what you're talking about. You're trying to line up that double drop you want to kill, or you just want to make sure you're going to be in the right area to be able to get a mix. You have enough time to mix.
Yeah, or if you're mixing out of a friend's tune, you can see if something quiet is coming up or if a change up is about to happen.
2000 has that as well. So that set, that's an entire set. The 350s, which we had a Torch for a long time, which we loved. They had USBs, all of these things have USB. From that suite, the 350, the 900, the 2000, that's that set of CDJs. I guess you refer to that as a generation of CDJs because they're all in the same suite.
Yeah, it's like just low resolution LCD readout, and even going back further than that, you got the CDJ 1000s, the MK3s, and the 2s had it. I don't know if the 1s did. I probably did.
The 1s did not, because I had a pair of 1s, and that's what I learned on.
And they would just show you the timer, like the time elapsed in the song, and that was it.
But it would the bars.
The bars, yeah, that's the same thing. It's just really low resolution, but it is there.
No, the bars are just telling you how much. It's a visual cue for you to understand how much of the track is left, but it's not any of the peaks and valleys.
Oh, got it.
The red.
So it would show
dots.
it would just show progression, but it wouldn't show
progression,
the
but
loudness of the song.
Exactly, there'd be no peaks and valleys. So, going back to that set. Next setup, you've got the 2000 Nexus. You got the 900 Nexus. The 900 Nexus are what I have. And they're fantastic. They've got the full color waveform for the big thing like we talked about. Then they also have the progression.
Yep.
The next level from that, and those aren't full color. Those are blue.
They're actual screens though.
They're actual screens. The 2000 Nexus probably is color. Maybe it's just blue. Either case, the one up from that would be, there's no 900 Nexus 2 yet. I don't know what that's going to be. There is a CDJ 2000 Nexus 2, and that has full color waves on the progression. So this is all a bunch of, if you're just not familiar, it's probably a bunch of silly sounding stuff. But if you are, we'll also link some of the information about this on the podcast so you can check it out, the different waveforms. And if you're not using those right now to line up drops or whatever, you should. It's available. And so we'll enter in some information of how you can do that here on this edition of Gear Talk, on this edition of the 404 Audio Podcast.
Nice.
The 404 Audio Show with your hosts MetaPattern and Thesis.
We're going to pick another beer, and I'm going to take BPM number 175 for our third
175.
choice.
All right, so we got 80 already gone.
What
warning labels all over this one.
It's not good.
No, it's actually extra fine. Don't worry. This is called Standard Deluxe. This is a lager style beer. Easy drinking, extra fine beer by Wild Heaven.
Wild Heaven is in the Avondale Estates area.
Correct.
Of Georgia, which is not too far from downtown Atlanta and not too far from where we are now. So we're going to try beer number 3.
All right, let's do this.
It does have a number of warning labels on there, so not quite sure. I've had some stuff from Wild Heaven. I will check out my Untapped, which again, you can follow me, Thesis72. And if you want to follow MetaPattern, you can follow him.
Haze Beer.
That's right, on Untapped. Let's take a look at some stuff that I've had from the Wild Heaven. So click on my guy, and then I'll type in Wild Heaven, or just Wild. And that pulled up stuff from Wild Leap as well. I have had Wise Blood IPA from Wild Heaven, and I've had Invocation. Did I say that right? Don't know. I've also had the White Blackbird, which after the farmhouse saison. All right, so what do we got? This is an ale or a lager? Is that what we got?
Lager style.
Lager style. It smells like what I would say as regular beer. It has what I would say is a regular beer taste, but there's something else there, and I don't quite know what it is. Are there any hops in this bad boy?
I don't think so, but it is definitely very tasty. This is a really good lager.
I would have to agree. I'm not a big lager fan. Just because
I like them when they're cold and like light like this. I would say it's pretty light and pretty crisp still.
I feel like my drinking story has two paths to it. There is original drinking, which is just drinking regular beer, and then a couple years ago when I found out about craft beer. Like I'd heard the term but didn't really understand what that was, and then as we mentioned earlier, shout out again to Elevate Crew. Amanda and Johnny Goodtime took me to my first brewery. I believe that Big Up Skylink was there as well, and Big Up Richie Ridge. And did some tastings there, because that's how the breweries go. And I was like, wow, this is way different than the beer that I've always had before, like Budweiser, Bud Light, Blue Moon, Heineken, that sort of stuff. Which most of what I just named are all lagers, which is like this, but it is a good lager. And I'll give you a cheers on that. Definitely drinkable. I would say crushable as well.
I would definitely crush this. I definitely am crushing this. What I don't understand is the warning labels. I wouldn't say it's a warning label, but like just the visual style.
The style of it is like it's some sort of like almost like a railroad crossing, like some stuff.
Yeah, it's like a caution sign, really. But it says standard deluxe. It's like a very good thing.
Speaking of railroads, let me ask you, if you've ever, when you're in the Norcross area and you're trying to get over like Beaufort Highway in that area, have you ever been stuck behind that train?
All the time.
All the time.
You can actually hear it from here when it goes by. We're not that far away.
I have also heard it many times, and I've also been stuck behind that train. Yeah. And there's no avoiding it, because what you're generally trying to do is you're trying to get from Norcross across Beaufort Highway to all the other points. That could be Clarkston or Tucker, Decatur, Shallowford, wherever you need to go. And you ain't getting there because the train runs parallel to Beaufort Highway, I believe.
Beaufort Highway.
So you can go down.
There's only a couple of bridges or underpasses, and they're pretty high traffic.
So ATL crew, if you've been stuck behind a train, and particularly that train, why don't you leave us a note there in the comments. This was from the Wild Heaven Brewery. It is a lager, and the name again, MetaPattern was?
Standard Deluxe.
Extra fine.
Yeah.
Extra fine beer. So that'll wrap up taste test number 3 for us. We've got some more on the show, or we don't. We don't know. We'll find out.
We've decided to taste the Island of Misfits IPA by Red Hair. The can is pretty crazy, actually. You'd think it was like a tropical island, but it's like a winter island. This dude, the Red Hair Rabbit, has Hawaiian clothes on, but he's up in the snow offering a beer to a Yeti. That would have worked well with last month's podcast theme.
With Yeti, it would have.
Yeah.
The Red Hair brand has this real strong identification with that cartoon Red Hair that they've made.
Yeah.
He's featured on every can, and he's doing something different. Like there's one where he's sitting like in a chair in a living room, and it's at night. And I think it's like I don't know, nighttime vibes, Red Hair. That's not right. But in any case, he's sitting in a chair, and then there's one where he's like out in a farm picking peaches, which is their peach Berliner Weiss. Mm-hmm. The name escapes me right now, but it is from Red Hair, and it is by far my favorite beer they do. My wife and I, Chrissy, actually went to the tasting of that, like the original like release party or whatever, and we got one of the glasses. So I'm excited to try this from Red Hair, the Island of Misfits IPA, which I believe is one of their newer ones. But if you don't taste this one, definitely check out that Son of a Peach still doesn't sound right, but it's the Peach Berliner Weiss.
Yeah. I'll look
Hopefully
it
not
up after
butchering
this.
that.
Cheers.
Cheers. Try to have a soft dismount on that glass return. It's pretty good. It's bright. It's crisp. Once again, like the one of the other ones we tasted. 7.2 alcohol by volume, which is fairly high for a single, which I guess is what this is, a single IPA.
Yeah.
7.2 is definitely up there.
It's dark. It's cloudy. It's like dark and cloudy instead of just being like hazy and light.
Definitely got some of that amber color. We should mention and start to try and mention as we work our way through this podcast that if you want to visit any of these breweries, we're trying them here. We're trying beers that are from Georgia. So if you are interested in going up to the Red Hare Brewery, it is in Marietta, Georgia. I think it's right off 75 because I feel all of Marietta is right off 75, so it's got to be around there. I think it's near the new Brave Stadium. So head on up there, and one of the best things about going to a brewery is you can do flights, so you'll be able to taste some of the different
Taste
ones.
as many as possible, or just grab your favorite ones because they'll have it, and it'll be the freshest you can get it, probably.
It'll be the freshest you can get it, and also if you're like a dub plate hunter on the DJ circuit, and you're looking for those rare exclusive tunes that people don't have, when you go to a brewery, it's the same thing because they have beers there that they don't have. They're not in market anywhere else.
Yeah, they won't see very wide distribution, so
it's a test run, so you can try some dub plate beer.
nice.
All right, that's pretty good tasting. MetaPattern, what do we got on the docket here?
Well, now we're going to go right into the Atlanta Artist Spotlight of the Week. That is where I try to highlight some local Atlanta artists or local labels who are doing things, and this week we have 2 tunes. One is going to be from Logam, who was also featured last month, and then VORHEEZ, who has been around for quite some time and has the Noisy Drums label here in Atlanta. The first track is going to be by VORHEEZ, and it is called, interestingly enough, Atlanta. So that starts out with like perfect nighttime vibe synths. It really captures like the Atlanta nightlife for me when I think about it. I think of like dark, flashy nightlife like visions when I hear those first notes.
I've been meaning to get this on the podcast, so before we get into the tune, I have thought about this a number of times. When you rave in this city, you're generally, if you stay till around close, you're leaving, it could be 2, 3, 1:30 in the morning. So all of us who have done this are like complete experts of driving the city at night. And you get onto 85, 75, the connector. And so the vibes you're talking about this tune is something I experience every time I go home.
Yeah.
I'm leaving and I'm going up 85 because all the clubs are downtown, of course, here in Atlanta. So when you're coming back, you're on one of the biggest interstates. It's like 12 lanes.
Seriously, yeah.
The connector. And there's still like 100 people on there because this is ATL and it just never stops, traffic-wise and music-wise. So we're getting to this. So nighttime vibes coming up from VORHEEZ MetaPattern's Tune of the Week. Big ups.
All right.
Hey, we're back. It's 404 Audio. You got your host, Thesis and MetaPattern inside the place to be.
Yes. All right, that was Atlanta by VORHEEZ. Let's see, 3 years ago, so 2016 maybe? Sounds about right. Big ups, man. Love those drums, dark, nasty bass growls at the end, and just the intro. I really love the intro. We'll go right into the second local spotlight. This one is the Logam remix of GTFU by TC. So TC had a remix competition recently, and I saw like probably at least a dozen submissions. There was...
Side note, Logam is a master remix contest. Coming up in the game, we know now he's in the mix with a lot of big projects and a lot of big labels, but coming up in the game, that guy did a lot of remix contests, and I believe he won a few, or definitely smashed them. So there was one from TC for this song.
Yes, and so he didn't win the contest, but they used his song during like the promo for the reveal of all the best submissions or whatever. So
that's pretty good.
On the Facebook marketing, it was all his tune. So it's like basically heavy metal, but it also is 174 BPM, completely usable in a DJ mix if you wanted. So
if you meet Logam, he's pretty much heavy metal. That is that guy. He is a rock star chef. He is a heavy metal label boss, and he's got some ATL DNB.
Yeah, and Bad Syntax down in Florida was another person who had submitted one of the remixes that I listened to. It was one of my favorites. So yeah, big ups to him as well.
Check this one out. Heavy metal tip from Logam. This is a TC tune remixed by Logam.
There we go.
In an effort to make things easier, we've decided to do several recordings and get everything together. What that has done is made many more beer tastings. And I've also been watching a lot of Parks and Rec recently on Netflix.
Oh yeah?
Big Parks and Rec fan?
It's been a while.
Looks like we got an emergency cat of the month situation.
Uh-oh.
Let's have it. Let's have it. This cat is...
That was Butters. She was the cat of the month on the 0th episode, and she just yowled down the hallway and dropped off a toy for us. And now she's getting caught up in the wires. Okay.
We're going to have some technical difficulties. Hopefully, in the video version, MetaPattern comes up with a great cat technical difficulty image.
Yeah, she's
to
just
put
gonna
it.
scratch across the screen. I'm gonna download scratch effect, cat scratch effect. All right. Well, Bill had mentioned one of the previous Cats of the Month, Butters, as she brought toys to us and almost wrecked our gear. But we are now talking about the actual Cat of the Month, which is one of Bill's cats.
Cat of the Month for March is our cat, Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown is a girl, and Christina had said, aka Chrissy, that she was like, I want to get an orange cat, and let's name her Charlie Brown. And so it just kind of like one of those visualization board manifestation sort of things. And then our friend Angie, who is the same person who got us Chocobo, who's our other cat, hopefully to be featured later, got us Charlie Brown. And Charlie Brown's an orange cat. We call her all sorts of different names. Char Char. She's just a sweet, lovable, not a big cat. So here it is, Charlie Brown on the Cat of the Month for the 404 Audio Podcast.
Nice.
We love you, Char Char.
I think it's like this for anybody who owns pets or cats or whatever, but if you play drum and bass at your house a bunch, they get used to it, and like you could be just raging on the hardest like current value lime wax pots and pan style drum and bass, and like Plop will be next to me sleeping, like comfortably sleeping
every time when I go downstairs to mix. The cats always follow me. It's kind of like our downstairs sort of office sort of thing. So there's a couple office chairs, and both cats get in there and they just sit there and just soak up the vibes.
It's crazy. I wonder if they ever understand the rhythms or whatever, but
I don't know.
It is fun playing like some sewer tunes or something with, especially drum and bass always has like the best intros and like the best samples from like crazy sci-fi movies and stuff. And like those sounds that'll get their ears going straight backwards and they like wake up from their nap. That's when you know you've got a banger. So I actually call them cat ear tunes. Whenever I'm playing and I see their ears go backwards, I call them cat ear tunes.
Cat Ear Tunes is a folder on MetaPattern's record box.
The 404 Audio Show with your hosts MetaPattern and Thesis.
Baby's ready, bedded in my head is weighing heavy, double-leaded, feathered in horrendous regret. I won't fuck off already, awful penny rearing up his ugly head at any and every step in this alleyway dreaded. Memory forever littered with disheveled bitter mirrors, pious sinners, vicious kittens, loving villains from the snap of the umbilical scissors. I've been hassled with ridiculously sinister visions, being crushed by these 5 fallen pillars.
Thanks again for checking out this edition of the 404 Audio Podcast, man. So we will check you out next month,
where we'll be covering more Atlanta drum and bass, local drum and bass artists, local drum and bass events, and local Georgia beers. So yeah, thanks again for listening, and we'll see ya.